Greetings, travelers! Welcome back to Tales from the Enchanted Forest with your hosts, Fox and Sparrow.
Hola! Hello, dear travelers. I hope you guys have been enjoying your summer as much as I have been. It's pretty early on in the summer, but already I'm just enjoying so much of these summer vibes happening, and I'm here for it.
I am not. I hate the heat. I'm suffering. There's no AC.
Oh, that's right. You don't have AC. Oh.
We have like dark curtains and fans and staying as still as possible.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's rough. I'm in here cool as a cucumber enjoying my AC, but it's supposed to feel like get up to like 30 today, but it's going to feel like 40. So, I'll be staying inside probably.
Yeah, I mean, that's the hard part about summer because you have all these summer plans and you're like, I'm going to do this, and then you realize that to get anywhere, you actually have to walk or take the bus or bike, and the travel time is the thing that'll kill you, especially because it's so hot. So biking in the humid is not great. But yes, summer has been going great, besides the weather, which we love to complain about.
Of course. There's always some weird weather phenomenon or normal weather phenomenon. We're like, how dare the weather be the weather?
Listen, I'm married to a Brit. That makes me British. And that's, I mean, because obviously that's how it works. And that's the favorite British pastime. I'm just assimilating, okay?
Okay, but it's also such a Canadian thing to talk about the weather.
It is also such a Canadian thing, actually. But it's because, like, we started off as British as well. So we can't really... It's like a joint communal thing. An artifact from our colonial days.
I guess, yeah. It's just our tradition. We need to talk about the weather. We need to discuss the goings-on. But anyways, this week, we were going to do things just a little differently. As I've mentioned in previous episodes, I love animal tales. I think they are so much fun. They're often very short, and they're just like funny in an absurd way. The problem is many of them are just simply too short to make like a whole episode about. So like in the past, I have done some episodes where I've like grouped like a couple of small tales together and then just kind of made an episode like with that kind of collection. But there are even shorter stories to tell that it's like, how do I make an episode about all these micro stories? So I'm thinking like, oh, how can I tell that in a fun, interesting way? So, and then it hit me. We can make this a game. So today we're going to play a game called Who's That Animal? I'm going to tell a short animal tale, but I'm going to censor the name of one of the animals as I tell the story. At the end of it, it will be up to Fox to try and figure out what animal was the star of the story. And as this game takes direct inspiration from the Who's That Pokemon game from like the Pokemon anime series, when I tell the story, I will be replacing the name of the animal with the word Pokemon. So every time I mention the Pokemon, that is the mystery animal that we need to figure out. Make sense?
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay. So, you know the rules, you know the lifeline, so let's play. So, story 1. The title of this is The Swallow, the Pokemon, and the Court of Justice. A swallow, returning from abroad and especially fond of dwelling with men, built herself a nest in the wall of a court of justice, and there hatched 7 young birds. A Pokemon, gliding past the nest from its hole in the wall, ate up the young, unfledging nestlings. The swallow, finding her nest empty, lamented greatly and explained, "Woe to me, a stranger, that in this place where all others' rights are protected, I alone should suffer wrong." And that is the story. Like I said, these are micro stories. They are very quick.
Oh, so kind of like Mullah Nasruddin when we did his stories.
Exactly.
Like the tiny bite-sized stories. Okay, so a Pokemon gliding past the nest from its hole in the wall ate up the young.
So one thing I'll give you for this game is if you want a hint, I can give you the location of where this story comes from. But if you can get it without that, I'll be extra impressed. There's no real extra points here.
Okay.
But if you want the hint, you're always welcome to ask for that.
I'm just trying to think. So, gliding past the nest from its hole in the wall. So that means that this Pokemon is some kind of bird or something that has wings so it can glide.
Could be.
Um.
Gliding is a very specific term.
Yeah, gliding is a specific term.
The young,
Gliding
fledged nestlings.
They're just like the naked little babies. Gliding past the nest. Which animals would you say glide? Owls glide. Do owls eat other birds?
I actually have another hint. Now that I'm bringing the story over, and of course I know what the Pokemon is, I think I have another hint I could offer you besides just the location. Because I don't think the location will help you much with this one.
I don't want the location, I want the other hint.
Yeah. So unfledging nestlings, I think that means unhatched.
Oh, but it says, and they're hatched 7 young birds.
Oh, you're right. Okay, then that doesn't align. But I know this creature would also, like, certain variations of this creature would also go after unhatched.
Oh, like eggs.
Yeah.
Gliding past the nest from its hole in the wall. Well, I wanted, like, the first thing that came to mind was a snake, because snakes are the ones that you see typically eating these kind of birds, and like a reptile of some kind. But then I'm like, gliding past doesn't really fit the way reptiles move. So I'm thinking it has to be another type of bird or some kind of creature that can glide.
Well, let's look up the definition of glide. To glide, move with smooth, continuous motion, typically with little noise.
Why would this swallow build its nest on the floor? Or somewhere where a snake could get to it? I'm so confused. Okay, I'm gonna say, well, if gliding doesn't mean flying of some kind, or like, I'm gonna say some kind of reptile like a snake.
Is that your final answer? The stakes could not be higher. The amount of I will be impressed meter is so important here.
Okay, I think it's a snake because I know for a fact from all the nature documentaries that reptiles, specifically snakes, will go into nests and eat the birds. And like they'll do that weird thing, like they open their jaws really wide and they'll swallow it whole. And if gliding doesn't mean another bird, and you mean just like moving smoothly without making a noise, and that's a snake.
All right, and you're locking it in?
Yeah, I'm gonna guess snake.
You would be correct. This is the swallow, the serpent, and the court of justice. And yeah, so correct. That's why I was like, wanted to give you that subtle nudge that glide can't often refers to birds, but if you think about it, yeah, if they're not flapping their wings, then they're just going smoothly. They're not making noise, so it all makes sense. But
I don't know why. I assumed that because it said build yourself a nest in the wall, I assumed it was high up. And I'm like, well, a snake can't go like vertically up like that. But I guess
it could also slither around and like kind of wrap itself.
Yeah, it could. So I can't just think linearly. I have to like be like, what is this stupid sparrow? I was about to say stupid
swallow.
Sparrow. Where's this stupid swallow building its nest?
All right. So yes, this is the swallow, the serpent, and the court of justice. This is a Greek tale, specifically an Aesop's fable. So that is where it comes from, the very kind of stilted wording of like it kind of trying to come across with a moral at the end of it of woe is me, a stranger at this place where others' rights are protected. I alone should suffer wrong.
Aw.
So there you go. Didn't think location would help there, but...
No, if you had said Greek, I would have been like, I don't know what that means. Like, snakes are...
Yeah.
I would have tried to figure out a specific bird or something, but I'm not really good at bird watching.
That's fair. All right, so that's story one. You got 1 for 1 so far. We're off to a good start.
Woo!
Let's move on to our second story. This is called The Pokemon and the Crocodile. One stormy day, a Pokemon was standing by the shore of a river, wondering how he could get to the other side. He could not get over by himself, for the water was deep, and he did not know how to swim. He looked about for some logs, but all he saw was a large crocodile with its mouth wide open, ready to seize him. He was very much frightened, but he said, "Oh, Mr. Crocodile, pray do not kill me. Spare my life, and I will lead you to a place where you can get as many Pokemon as will feed you all your life." The crocodile agreed, and the Pokemon said that the place was on the other side of the river. So the crocodile told him to get on his back, and he would carry him across. Just before they reached the bank, the Pokemon jumped to the land, ran as fast as he could, and climbed up a tree where his mate was. The crocodile could not follow, of course, so he returned to the water, saying, "The time will come when you shall pay." Not long afterward, the Pokemon found the crocodile lying motionless as if dead. About the place were some low chili pepper bushes loaded with numerous bright red fruits like ornaments on a Christmas tree. The Pokemon approached the crocodile and began playing with its tail. But the crocodile made a sudden spring and seized the Pokemon so tightly that he could not escape. Think first, said the Pokemon. "Mark you, Mr. Crocodile, I am now the cook of His Majesty the King. Those bright red beads have been entrusted to my care." And the Pokemon pointed to the pepper shrubs. "The moment you kill me, the king will arrive with thousands of well-armed troops and will punish you." The crocodile was frightened by the Pokemon's words. "Mr. Pokemon, I did not mean to harm you," he said. "I will set you free if you let me eat only as many pieces of bread as will relieve my hunger." "Eat all you can," responded the Pokemon kindly. "Take as many as you please. They are free to you." Without another word, the crocodile let the Pokemon go and rushed at the heavy laden bushes. The Pokemon slipped away secretly and climbed up a tree where he could enjoy the discomfort of his ferocious friend. The crocodile began to cough, sneeze, and scratch his tongue. When he rushed to the river to cool his mouth, the Pokemon only laughed at him. And that is the story of the Pokemon and the crocodile. So, Fox, who's that Pokemon?
Okay. So it's one that can't swim.
Mm-mm.
And he can climb trees. Is it the monkey?
Is that your final answer?
Wait, hold on. So when it says the Pokemon approached the crocodile and began playing with his tail, playing with the crocodile's tail or playing with his own tail?
I think the crocodile's tail is the way I interpreted it.
Okay, so I think because it seems like it's a trickster character
Mm-hmm.
in a location where it would be at the same place as a crocodile, I'm going to say a monkey because a hare could a hare could cross the river by itself.
Mm-hmm.
A turtle or a tortoise couldn't climb the tree.
I don't think a hare could also climb the tree, honestly.
No, yeah, the hare could. Yeah, the hare couldn't climb the tree either. The other trickster character is the jackal, but I don't think it's a jackal. Okay, I think it's a monkey.
That's your final answer? You're locking it in?
Wait, hold on. Okay, yes, I think it's a trickster character. It can't swim. It's looking at a log. It tricks the crocodile. And honestly, just because I recently taught Fables, and one of the fables I taught was the Monkey and Mango Island, where it tricks crocodiles to get to this island. I'm going to say it's a monkey.
Do. You are correct. This is a monkey.
Oh! Yes.
It is the monkey and the crocodile.
Powers of deduction. And also very lucky
honestly.
that I just taught the Mango Island story.
Mm-hmm. Any wild guesses as to where in the world the story comes from?
See, this is where I'd be like, oh, crocodiles are located in this continent, and monkeys are also located in this continent, and um,
All
are
right.
crocodiles in South America? I think they are. South America, maybe.
South America.
That's the best guess I got.
I think the animals do exist there, but this comes from the Philippines.
Oh yes, the Mango Island story comes from the Philippines. Oh my god, I should have known.
Oh,
I
my
was like, that's gonna be
goodness.
too much of a coincidence.
I couldn't possibly use the same information twice.
Well, no, because I was like, I don't really think it's like. I was like, there are crocodiles and monkeys in other countries. I'm like, oh, let's branch out a bit. I shouldn't have branched out. I should have stuck to what I know.
Yeah.
Ugh, unbelievable.
I will, full
Okay.
disclosure, I do think the next one you're not going to get with powers of deduction. Honestly, this one I
Oh.
think I hate to break it to you. This is one of those stories that I really just wanted to share. I was trying to pick stories where I'm like, oh, she can pick out this stuff. This one I just thought was so funny. I needed to share. Um,
You're like, this one I'm choosing for the vibes and the vibes only.
this is called The Fish and the Pokemon's Wife, or Why the Fish Lives in the Water. Many years ago, when King Io was ruler of Calabar, the fish used to live on the land. He was a great friend of the Pokemon and frequently used to go to his house in the bush where the Pokemon entertained him. Now, the Pokemon had a very fine wife, with whom the fish fell in love. And after a time, whenever the Pokemon was absent in the bush, the fish used to go over to the house and had, well, a sleepover with the Pokemon's wife. Until at last, an old woman who lived nearby informed the Pokemon what happened whenever he went away. At first, the Pokemon would not believe that the fish, who had been his friend for so long, would play such a low trick. But one night, he came back unexpectedly and found the fish and his wife together. At this, the Pokemon was very angry, and he was going to kill the fish. But he thought as the fish had been his friend for so long, he would not deal with it himself, but would report his behavior to King Io. This he did, and the king held a big palaver, at which the Pokemon stated his case quite shortly, but when the fish was put upon his defense, he had nothing to say. So the king, addressing his subjects, said, "This is a very bad case, as the fish has been the Pokemon's friend, and has been trusted by him. But the fish has taken advantage of his friend's absence, and has betrayed him. The king therefore made an order that for the future the fish should live in the water, and that if he ever come on land he should die. He also said that all men and animals should kill and eat the fish whenever they could catch him, as a punishment for his behavior with his friend's wife." And that is the story of the fish and the Pokemon's wife. I just find this story wild with how drastic it is at the end. Like, okay, not only, I mean, you did something bad, let's not kid ourselves, but also we're gonna punish your entire species forevermore because of it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think now.
So, I'm gonna just go ahead, unless you have a good idea already, I'm gonna tell you where the story comes from.
Okay.
And this is a Nigerian animal tale. So you can think of animals that are more local there that you wouldn't find elsewhere.
So the fish and this does it matter that the fish and this Pokemon were friends? That doesn't matter, does it?
Honestly, if anything, it's ironic. Not because of like the overall species as a whole of what the Pokemon is known to like fish. But I don't know if this particular one does. So in a way, it's kind of ironic.
And then can I ask it, is the Pokemon a natural predator of fish?
Mm,
You can also say no. You can also just not
I
answer.
do not. I think they would. I think they would be a predator of fish if they were near it, but I don't think that's their first choice.
Okay, so you said there's no clues here because I'm trying. At first, I was like, "Oh, this." I can just think of like marine animals, and I'm like, "No, there's no marine animals."
No, this is a land animal.
Uh,
This is 100% a land animal. Um, and I know at least like cousins of this species would love fish.
Cousins of this species.
Yeah, I already feel like I've
Okay,
said too much,
that
so
rules
I
out my
can't say
first
more.
guess. I was gonna say the elephant because I thought that'd be really funny, but the cousins of this species
That would be
like
funny.
fish. But elephants are vegetarians. I mean, herbivores. Vegetarians. They're herbivores, so it can't be elephants.
Yeah.
Okay. Hold on. I have to rethink because I was going to say the fish and the elephant's wife because that to me would be hilarious.
That would be so
Um,
funny. Honestly, yeah. I still think this is a funny animal to pair it with, but that would be even more so.
okay, let's go with. Okay. I'm thinking either a dog type animal or a cat type animal. But I don't think dogs are known for liking fish, whereas cats are.
Mhm.
So what's a cousin of a cat? Like a lion? The fish and the lion's wife? The fish and the tiger's wife? Let's go tiger. No, let's go lion.
Okay.
The fish and the lion's wife. That's my final guess.
Locked in. It is the fish and the leopard's wife. So very close.
Oh, so very close. Oh no.
Very close indeed.
I didn't even consider leopards.
Yes, it is. To be fair, both the lion and leopard, I think, are part of the big five in Africa of
Yeah.
like in terms of what you see,
The big
like
cats.
animals, the big cats, or like the big kind of like well-known animals. But that's still pretty good. But I found this really hilarious to think about. Is like, oh, the fish was having an affair with the leopard's wife.
Yeah, I mean, that's crazy.
And that is what led to the fish always being in the water. But yeah, so yeah, you can see where I'm coming from. It's irony because it's like I don't know for sure if leopards go for fish, but I'm like, I know my cat likes fish.
See, as soon as you said, like, the cousin of this animal, because my first guess was going to be elephant. I was going to say the fish
Yeah.
and the elephant's wife. But as soon as you said that, I was like, oh, I gotta change it up.
Yeah, and I know the moment I told the story to him, leaving it blank, I'm like, oh, giraffe would have been hilarious as well. But yeah, so there you go. That was just kind of a fun one, and yeah, I knew that one was a stretch in terms of figuring out the animal, but it's just we're just here for a fun time.
Yeah.
Okay, actually, the next couple stories, I realized I was picking up all these stories. They were all involving crows. Like, crows are not the mystery animal, of course. So I've just grouped them all together. So the next couple are just like something, something, and the crow.
Okay. The Pokemon and the crow.
The Pokemon and the crow. There's going to be variations on that.
We like it.
All right. So this story is Dinawan, the Pokemon, and Juan, the crows. Pokemon and his two wives, the Juan, were camping out. Seeing some clouds gathering, they made a bark humpy. It came on to rain, and they all took shelter under it. Pokemon, when his wives were not looking, gave a kick against a piece of the bark at one side of the humpy and knocked it down, then told his wives to go out and put it up again. When they were outside putting it up, he gave a kick and knocked down a piece on the other side. So no sooner were they in again than out they had to go. This he did time after time until at last they suspected him and decided that one of them would watch. The one who was watching saw a Pokemon laugh to himself and go and knock down the bark they had just put up, chuckling at the thought of his wives having to go out in the wet and cold to put it up while he had his supper dry and comfortably inside. The one who saw him told the other, and they decided to teach him a lesson. So in they came, each with a piece of bark filled with hot coals. They went straight up to the Pokemon, who was lying down, laughing. Now, they said, you shall feel as hot as we did cold. And they threw the coals over him. Pokemon jumped up, crying aloud with the pain, for he was badly burnt. He rolled himself over and ran into the rain. His wife stayed inside and laughed aloud at him. So this is Dinwan the Pokemon and Juan the Crows.
So his two wives are called the Wan.
Yes.
So does it matter that his wives are birds?
Oh, as to what the creature is?
Yeah.
Okay, well, let me start by telling you that the location of the story is from Australia. That said, I have know of this animal, but I do not know a lot about this animal, so I actually can't answer that question because I'm not up on my Australian animals and their habits.
Well, then my first guess was going to be a kangaroo because of the kick.
Could be.
But if you don't know much about the animal, then it can't be a kangaroo.
Well, I mean, I don't know much about kangaroos either. I know what they look like, but I don't know I don't know what their eating habits are or anything like that.
Okay, well, it's obviously some kind of weird trickster animal who likes tormenting his wives. Why his wives just don't fly away, I don't understand, but they threw the coals over him. He rolled over. So it has to be a creature that's known for its kick, which I think must be the kangaroo, because I don't really know any other Australian-specific animals besides maybe a wallaby. But I could not tell you for the life of me if wallabies are known for kicking.
Yeah. Again, this is another one where you don't have a lot to go off of, and we're in a country where you don't necessarily know. You're not from Australia. I think we can say that. You don't know. You don't specialize in this at all.
What gave it away? My accent? I could be from Australia.
You're not from down under.
Oh no.
Oh no.
I watched H2O. Just add water.
Oh man. All right. What's your guess?
I mean, the name Dinoan the Pokemon.
What? So yeah, I don't know.
I'm gonna say kangaroo. Okay, I don't know any other animals that are
fair.
known for kicking.
All right.
And
locking
being aggressive
it in
like that. Yeah,
right,
I mean, I have a feeling it might be a bird, because why else would it be married to crows? But I'm not quite sure what bird is known for kicking. Yeah. So that doesn't really make sense. Okay, I'm going to say kangaroo. I think kangaroo is the best guess I have.
I think kangaroo makes a lot of sense, but it is unfortunately not the kangaroo. It is the emu. The emu, which is all I know about the emu, is that Australia went to war with the emus at one point and lost. I know that's a very generalization.
I do remember the emu being important to Australian Aboriginal stories, specifically the Dreamtime stories, is what I remember it from, because I talked about the Dreamtime stories when we did one of our still most popular stories to date, which is the Rainbow Serpent. Mm-hmm. So I should have known that. But I was so confused by the kicking. But I guess it makes sense because emus do kick.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Well, again, cards were kind of stacked against you in that one, but
I had a really good start and now I'm fading away. Okay, so it's okay. 2 out of 4. I'm all right. I'm gonna pass at the moment.
Next one we have is the Pokemon and the Crow. I mean, it did give us the heads up that this was going to be a bunch of the Pokemon and the Crow. Mm-hmm. A Pokemon once saw a crow fly off with a piece of cheese in its beak and settle on a branch of a tree. That's for me, as I am a Pokemon, said Master Renard. And he walked up to the...
It's a fox. It's a fox. It has to be a fox. Sorry, I interrupted your story, but I think it's a fox because Reynard is the trickster fox.
Well, the search and replace all didn't take that into account, it looks like. Okay, well, we'll continue on. Good day, Mistress Crow, he cried. How well you are looking today, how glossy your feathers, how bright your eye. I feel sure your voice must surpass that all other birds, just as your figure does. Let me hear but one song from you that I may greet you as the Queen of Birds. The crow lifted up her head and began to caw her best, but the moment she opened her mouth, the piece of cheese fell to the ground, only to be snapped up by Master Pokemon. That will do, he said. That was all I wanted. In exchange for your cheese, I will give you a piece of advice for the future. Do not trust flatterers.
Okay. I have two things to say. Obviously, this is Reynard the fox, the trickster fox.
There you go.
Two, this story is actually in the Oxford International English books that
Holy
I teach
crap.
from. And
Oh my
it's
goodness.
one of like so it's under the category of like fables. And so I have recently because what I do with fables is I do like a writing unit kind of thing where I show them the first half and they have to figure out how the animal completes the trick and write it down, write their own version of it.
Oh, that's fun.
So I have also just recently done this one. So I knew, I read the story, and as soon as I was reading it, I'm like, well, one, Reynard the Fox, classic trickster character. But two, I recognize the story.
That is too funny. All right, well, where is the story from?
Europe. I think Reynard is English. I know he's a European character, but I'm going to say English. It's a British story.
Well, maybe that's the translation, but this is another Aesop's fable.
Yeah. But he's
from Greek.
I think Reynard the Fox, the character is supposed to be. Is he?
I mean, again, this might just be like the translation, but this is, at least when I grabbed this story, it was labeled as an Aesop's fable, which would be from Greece, if I'm not mistaken. So that one was pretty quick for a variety of reasons. But now you dear travelers know, and you are now 3 out of 5, so you're more than passing now.
Yay!
All right,
I like bringing things. Also, if you are someone who's listening and you have young children in your life, the Storytime magazine has a whole bunch of fairy tales and fables and tall tales, and so these kind of stories are all in those magazines, and I love using them as a teaching resource because they're so fun, they're beautifully illustrated. So just keep that in mind if you're enjoying this episode, that the Storytime magazine is really, really good for stories like this. Another teaching resource I use.
I love that so much that you got all these tips and tricks for our travelers.
I'm like, if you want to have more stories and play by yourself, well.
This is our last story of the day. This is the Pokemon and the Crows. So, once upon a time, a group of jolly, happy crows were playing leaf ball in the forest. They were having such a good time when Mr. Pokemon came slipping along. The crows saw him and started to fly away. "Oh, do not go away," called Mr. Pokemon. "I only came to play ball with you." "Well, you will have to have a ball to play with," said the crows. They jumped upon his head and picked out one of his eyes. They tossed the eye from one crow to another, laughing at poor Mr. Pokemon, who was jumping around in all directions trying to catch his eye. When they grew tired of playing, they hid the Pokemon's eye and all of their leaf balls, flew away, cawing as they went. "We don't want to play with you, old Pokemon. You are too mean. Keep away from here." And poor Mr. Pokemon was left searching for his hidden eye and grieving himself sick. So, a bit of a downer one to end on, but this is the Pokemon and the Crows. Any thoughts as to what creature this could be?
So, when Mr. Pokemon came slipping along, so it's not some kind of bird because the crows started to fly away and he can't follow them.
Mm-hmm.
They jumped on his head and picked out one of his eyes. He's searching for his hidden eye. Oh, this is just a sad story.
It is. But there is a reason I picked it.
Does this animal, is it known for only having like bad eyesight or like one eye or something like that?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Because it's reminding me of why the elephant has small eyes.
Yeah.
How it swapped eyes with the turtle.
No, I mean, potentially there's something to it, but the way I interpret the story is just, it's not like an explanation tale, but more of a, oh, you're a mean creature, so we're gonna treat
Yeah.
you meanly, I think is more the moral of the story. And I can tell you that this story is from North America. It's a native tale from my sources.
Oh, okay.
So that is the region it comes from.
So this animal's a mean animal.
I mean, these crows certainly seem to think he's mean.
Came slipping along. I feel like there's something there. Maybe another. It's not. It's none of the animals are this. You didn't do the same animal twice, right? So it can't be another snake.
I mean, it could be. I know I repeated. I did 2 Aesop's fables, so it's possible I repeated other stuff, but not necessarily.
Okay, I'm so stuck. Came slipping along, but he's a bad guy, but he can jump, so it's not like a turtle. Oh, it can't be a snake. Snakes can't jump.
There you go.
North America.
All right, I'm giving you 15 seconds.
No, not a timer. Okay. North America. Bears. It can't be a bear. Okay, I'm gonna go with the only answer I know from North American tales. And again, I'm gonna go with the trickster, but he's not really tricking anyone. Okay, let's go with coyote.
Okay.
The coyote and the crows. Because he's the North American trickster animal.
You were so close, but it is not a coyote.
Oh no, the wolf? Is it a wolf?
It is. So the reason I picked this story is because I thought it was really funny when I was looking through all the short stories I could find.
You thought this was funny?
Like, I was looking at a bunch of names of stories, and I noticed there was one story called The Fox and the Crow, and then another story called The Fox and the Crows. So this is a fox. And I thought it was very interesting to read them back to back, of one with the fox out like being tricksy to the crows, and then this feels like the revenge of the crows being like, you have been mean to us in the past. We're now just getting even.
You know what? I see it.
Yep.
Yep. You know what? That's good. I like that. That's smart.
Yeah. So I thought, oh, it will be really funny just to have 2 of the same animal combos back to back. So there you go. And also I think it's interesting that fox has that reputation, like, kind of across from different regions and stuff, you know? And with the same bird countering them. It's really funny.
But like a different use of it.
Yeah, exactly.
I got so stuck. I was like, what animal is it? I couldn't figure it out.
So you got 50%. That's still a pass. You got 50% of the stories. And to be fair, like, as I admitted, not all of them were necessarily setting you up for success. But the first 2, I think those ones were, like, really good detective work on them. And there you go. Well, thank you for playing my game.
Yay! And winning your game.
Yeah, you did. Maybe we'll do another game again in the future. Try and we'll see what we come up with. I really like this formula.
Yeah, I like it too. I thought that was great.
Amazing. All right. Well, thank you, dear travelers. I hope maybe you played along with us. Maybe you also learned some new things as well. We appreciate you coming and joining us on this crazy, crazy adventure.
Yes, and playing games is always a nice way to mix it up and do because I find I really like animal tales, and I know the viewers really like animal tales, but it's so hard to find one that's the right length.
Exactly.
And then even when I find one that's the right length, I'll find one I really like, but then the rest of the one from the collection, I'm just like, I don't really like these ones. I just want to tell this one short story.
Yeah, so we keep looking for ways to tell it. I can tell you right now, the fish and the leopard has been sitting on my back burner ever since we did the Nigerian animal tales, which is like, oh my gosh, is that coming up on 2 years ago or something? It's been a long time, and I've been sitting on, like, when can I tell the fish and the leopard's wife story? Because that's wild.
Like, when is this the appropriate time to talk about this?
Exactly. So, I'm very happy to get that one off my chest. And we'll see. We'll get more. We'll get some more games this summer, or maybe we'll just in the future. But yeah.
And as always, travelers, if you want to see anything else from our show, you can always check that out on our website, www.talesmanenchantforest.com. If you want to hear more from us, then join us on Bluesky at From Enchanted or any other social media site where we're either on From Enchanted or Tales from Enchant Forest. However, if you are old school like Sparrow, you can always email us at talesmanenchantforest@gmail.com. We'd love to hear your questions, comments, and suggestions. So if you have anything to share, including your own animal tales, then please don't hesitate to email us.
And remember, there's always a place for you in the Enchanted Forest.